Hello, we are the Salon Sleuths. My name is Melissa,
And my name is Leslie.
and we are two women from the Pacific Northwest. We are both curious about paranormals, spirit guides, ghosts, past lives.
We are suspicious about true crime, disappearances, and strange phenomenons. We are open to learning about the supernatural and all things we don't understand.
Together, we're opinionated with a splash of smartass. Join us to learn. And stay curious, stay suspicious, and stay open.
Follow Salon Sleuths on all major podcast platforms.
Well, hello, Leslie and Salon Sleuth fans. How are you?
I'm good.
You
How are
look
you?
so tan.
Well, that's what happens when you have a boat.
And you have just naturally tanning skin. You don't
Yes,
get
I tan
red.
very easily. I get red and then it turns brown very quickly.
Yeah, I do too, but I think I just start naturally whiter than you. You get definitely tanner than I do. So how you doing today?
I'm good. We just had a weird thing happen. Michael was stopped at the house to get something
Yeah.
for work, then was leaving and he noticed a lady pulled up to the park across the street from our house.
Yeah.
And she had two little kids and a dog. They get out of the car. And then the kids start screaming about something. And then they
Sure.
get in the back of the car. She basically puts them in the back of the car. And then he sees her like hitting them.
Oh dear.
And then she goes over and then shakes the other one.
Oh dear.
And it's so like upsetting that he calls me. And I'm like, okay, follow her, get her license plate number. So we do that. And then usually when you're not from this neighborhood, if you don't know your way out, you're just driving up and down the streets because it's like a maze kind of.
Right.
So that's what she's doing, but she's driving like erratically. Like she looks like she's going to take a left and then she takes a right. And she's driving down the middle of the road and she's like all over the place. So we got in the car. He's following her, but he doesn't want to make it obvious. So then I would go in front of him to try to find her. And so I ended up just finding her. He left. He got off the phone call with the non-emergency police. And then I called him back because I found her parked on the side of the road. So I said, you might want to just double check the kids for marks because I didn't witness, but he said he saw her hitting them. And so we did our own little sleuthing today. I don't know if the police are up there now talking to her. I finally was like, I've done everything I could.
Yeah.
And I had to like walk away.
Did they actually come?
That's the thing I don't know. I saw where she was parked.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, normally like Lake Oswego police, there's going to be 4 up there probably in a minute. But I was surprised it was taking so long, you know.
Yeah.
So she was parked on the side. I told him exactly where she was. And it's funny because he's like, well, what's the name of the park? And I was like, so we in the neighborhood call it Golden Rock Park because somebody has painted a big rock gold. And then it wears off. They paint it gold again. We don't know who is painting it gold. But I don't think that's what it says in the city map, Golden Rock Park. But it's also where the water tower is. So I'm like, she's right by there. Just go find her, you know. And I go and double check the kids. I mean, if he saw that, they've got to have marks, you know.
Oh my gosh.
She just looks like a young, like frustrated mom, but you don't take it out on your children.
Oh, geez.
It was very sad. That's why I was 3 minutes late sending you your Zoom link.
Oh, okay. I know. I got her for 3 minutes, y'all. 3 minutes. Woohoo! And then she's blowing my phone up. Well, so somebody had
called. Your phone. I called once.
Oh, I thought you called twice back to back.
Just once.
I was like, oh, she's really blowing me up. And I was like, I better click on the link while I'm still talking. But we got into a political conversation, the person I was talking to. So that does kind of go into what today's story is going to be about parenting and mothers. But I want to tell you a story about that first because what you're bringing up about calling the 911 non-emergency, Jacob and I did that on our trip with this huge semi truck. Did I tell you about this?
No.
Oh my gosh. He's swerving in and out and he's acting like he's in a sports car on, let's see, it would be what I-84 goes through Idaho. I don't know what that turns into, but that's like a major freeway. And, you know, in Idaho, their speed limit's higher, like 75 miles per hour. So he's like booking it at like 85, weaving in and out, riding up really close to people. And I'm like, dude, you're going to kill someone. So I called non-emergency and we followed him for probably at least 15 minutes. And he was doing it the whole time. And never did we see a police car. And I stayed on with her. for a little while, but I don't think they ever pulled him over. I don't think anything ever happened, because then we had to pull off to go to the bathroom or something, and then we got back on. Never saw him pulled over or anything. Gave her license plate, the truck, the whole 9 yards, and I don't think anything ever happened to him, which kind of pisses me off. So, so I hope that Lake Oswego, because I do kind of know, a little bit about those Lake Oswego police officers. They take that shit a little more seriously. I don't think they have the kind of high crime that, Portland.
Yeah. I think she's got a Washington plate, so maybe they're like, well, maybe she can be somebody else's problem. Maybe not. Like, maybe they were all busy doing something else. But I was like, just go over there and just check on the kids. That's my main concern.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I mean, what could they have done that?
Well, nothing could be bad enough to be getting beat in the park across the street. Like, that just does not seem.
Well, at first when they were screaming, you said when they got out of the car, I thought maybe they got stung by a bee or something like that. And then but why would she start hitting them? That doesn't make any sense. So that was my first thought.
Who knows? Michael said that he was going to go talk to her, and then she left. So he was like,
darn it.
He's going to see what was going on.
Well, can you imagine Big Michael coming to talk to you? I mean, I'd be all.
I'd probably leave.
Well, but if he did come, that would have made such a huge impact on those kids and the mother. Like, stop what you are doing. This is not okay. This is not how you treat your kids. Like, ooh, scary.
Right.
Scary,
well,
scary.
I mean, I could give you an update on my son and how I discipline.
Oh, yes.
What he was faced with. As we talked about a little bit ago, my son was kicked out of church camp. And it was because he climbed an area he was not supposed to with 5 other students.
In the middle of the night.
And they had one little flashlight, and one of them didn't have a shirt on. One of them had like slippers, like slides on.
Okay, but that's not the big deal. If they choose to
it was a big deal because it's such a steep hill that they could have fallen and broken a leg. They could have gotten stepped on a rattlesnake. They could have gotten swept like up by a cougar. Like, there's all kinds of reasons why that's why they're not supposed to do it. But I do have to mention that his camp counselor didn't make it very clear that you can't do it. He was like, you can't do this.
Oh,
yeah. So it wasn't like a hard no. It was.
Is that what your friend said?
Just don't get caught. Like, so they got caught. They got
caught.
Yeah. So it took me about 8.5 hours to get him. I got him and brought him home. So it was 8.5 hours total of driving to get him back home. It also cost me $135 in gas. The camp itself was $550. We spent about a couple $100 getting things that he wanted for camp. Yeah. And my client said I had to cancel that day. So it's about $990. Yep. And at minimum wage, he owed me 82.5 hours of work.
Oh, I love you.
If he volunteers with me, he gets double hours. So like today he had a 4-hour opportunity to work with me and volunteering at the closet. And
because for all you listeners, she runs the Lake Oswego clothes closet in her off time.
Yes. And so he could have gotten 8 hours. He decided to sleep instead. So it would have been already in the 60s by now. So right now I don't know about the sun and the heat, but it makes weeds go crazy. Yeah. So our backyard, besides we hadn't been keeping it up, is full of weeds. It almost looks like we have a grassy knoll, but it's all weeds. And so he's pulling those. As soon as he's done pulling those and adding, so our fence is falling down between my house and my neighbor's house. Yeah. And because of the price of wood, and we can't decide on which material we want it to look like, we are waiting until the prices go down, and then we can really decide what we're going to do. So we bought some fabric to put on the fence because the boards are falling down, and they have a swimming pool, and I don't want my dogs to drown in it. Right. So we're putting up fabric. So as soon as he pulls the weeds and puts up that fabric, he's earned just his phone back. But he doesn't have a phone, his Xbox, his VR, or friends. None of that.
Oh my God. Good job, Mom.
He can skateboard in the driveway only.
Okay. So did you say that if he would have gotten up today, he would have already had 60 volunteer hours? So he's
No,
worked that
sorry.
much already?
If he would have gone with me to volunteer, he would have earned 8 hours, which would have
Okay.
put him into the 60s, the high 60s of
Oh.
what hours he owes me. But he's
Gotcha.
currently still at like 72 hours that he owes me still.
Oh my gosh.
And he's like, so
love
do I
what you
get
are
this?
doing.
And I was like, no, because my problem is like, so he didn't go freshman year because it was all online, right?
Yep.
And if he goes to school and he causes problems at school, I told him I will take him out of that school. And I am not kidding. But if I am relaxed at all in this punishment,
Yes.
he won't believe me in the next.
Yes.
So right now, he still has 74 hours. He's currently in the backyard pulling weeds, or at least last time I checked. And then he'll just get his phone. I did give him his phone at one point for like 10 minutes. I said, let your friends know that I didn't kill you.
But that you'll be offline for
for probably the end of summer. But I took it very seriously. And I'm like, you got kicked out of a place where the nicest people in the world are. But I do have a few issues with the camp because they said they had a meeting at one point if they should have sent him back earlier, a group of kids back earlier, not just my son. And I'm like, well, that's when they should have called you. Yeah. Because it would have stopped right then and there. Whatever issue he was creating would have been done. Right. And then, the whole thing calling me at midnight to basically leave my house at 4:30 in the morning to get him, which means I'm not sleeping between midnight and 4. I basically should have just left at 12:30 anyway to get him. And it was actually, I paid the price of my son's sins because I had to drive him. And then I had to stop 3 times because I'm falling asleep in the car to get home. So that was dangerous and putting us at risk along with the other drivers, I thought was, but then I understand that they did not want him with us. And I don't blame them. I just think things could have been handled a little differently, but that's just looking back.
Yeah. Well, and as a coach, I struggle with that. I'm a little bit more on the, hey, tell them immediately when things are going on. And there's a lot of coaches and directors who don't tell the parents until something big happens. And I get both sides of it. Like, well, just see how it goes. We don't want to be like tattling every little bit.
Yeah, but they had to talk about if they should send them home.
Yeah.
If it's to that
point. It should have been like, hey, just to let you know, we just had a discussion about whether to send your boy with other boys home. Clearly they'd been acting up. This was, it might have been good for you to know. You
have to have
and them know.
You should have called me.
Yeah. Did they know that they were on the brink of being sent home?
I think they were talked to once before because they had to do yard work. And then they said they got a little bit better. And then it just went like, but the camp counselor who's only graduated last year.
Yeah.
He's very young and he didn't have control from the very beginning. And it's hard to get control once you've already lost it. Yeah. And I think he just didn't make it like a black and white. You climb the mountain, you're leaving.
Yeah.
He was just like, hey, well, just don't get caught kind of thing.
Well, he kind of wants to be their buddy. And, at that age, that's kind of still, you and I are both parents. Like, dude, we're 50. We don't care if they like us or not. You know what I mean?
Well, and that camp counselor, the director is his mother.
Oh, okay.
So it puts it all in this weird thing. Anyway, it happened, and I take it very seriously. And he was sort of the ringleader. It was his idea to climb the mountain.
Okay. Well, I applaud you for that. I that's the way I parent. At least I try to at all times. I've taken a lot of shit away from my kids and made them earn it back. And I applaud you for that. I know it's hard.
One great thing that has happened is he's been hanging out with me. Like we've had so much fun. We went to that Wolf Creek Inn for the ghost hunting. Okay. And he totally went with us and had so much fun. And then we went to the wildlife safari on the way back. And then he's been surfing with us in the Oregon coast. Like these are things he would have done otherwise.
Oh,
so it's actually he's picked out scary movies to watch. Of course, I love that. And we watched them together and he picked out some really good ones. And so if anything, this has been really fun hanging out with him. And not only that, so we went ghost hunting there, right?
Yes.
And then my neighbors went out of town. Okay. So
you were going to go to their house, right?
Yeah. So my neighbors across the street, right? Before they moved in, we knew that there was something in that house. The previous owners told me. but then I wasn't sure how to mention it to them, right? So we go out on the boat, we invite them out. Did I tell you this already?
You told me that you were going to go to their house. I don't know that you said that you went on the boat with them.
So we invited them on the boat, and I mentioned, oh, we just got back from Wolf Creek ghost hunting, because I'm like leading into this.
Okay.
And I'm like, wait a minute, do you believe in ghosts first? And she's like, yeah. And then they look at each other, and she goes, well, we kind of feel like there's something in your house, in our house. And I said,
there
is. I know all about it. And they're like, what? And so then they asked a couple of days later if Lucy would be able to watch their brand new kitten. And I was like, oh my God, like I want to go over there.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything. I didn't ask, but they offered.
Ah.
Like, seriously? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, she goes, just don't summons up anything new.
Yeah, exactly.
I go, first of all, I wouldn't know how to do that, but like, thank you for letting me go over there. So all of us kind of went over there, and there was nothing. It didn't feel creepy at all.
Okay.
It was just this cute, adorable little kitten, and we're all like sitting in a dark house. That was the weirdest thing about it, right?
Did you take your equipment?
I did, and there were a couple of little weird beeps, but nothing. It didn't even feel weird, right?
Okay.
So we go to leave, and for some reason, I remembered like in Google Maps or Google Earth or whatever, if you look at the picture at the front of their house, there's a lady standing in the window. And I sent it to the previous owners because I thought it was a ghost, right? They caught a ghost in the window. No, it was Bob's mom. So it was an actual person. But
Did
as
she
we
die in the house?
What's that?
Did Bob's mom die in the house?
No, Bob's mom is still alive. That's why I know it wasn't a ghost, it was an actual person.
Okay.
And sometimes you would look at the park. So it was, that's what Google Earth shows, this woman sitting in the window. So I was like, ooh, I just want to take a picture of the house. So I take a picture of the house, and okay, so if you're listening to this, go to YouTube, because I'm going to post right now in this sentence, I'm going to post a picture of the house that I took. The house is like this, but it's all swirly.
Ooh.
But it's not a live photo. It's just a regular photo. And then I've tried to take my phone and like move as I'm doing it, taking the picture. And I can't even recreate how this picture was taken. I'll send it to you right now because,
so do you think it's like on a vortex or an Indian burial ground or?
It was right in front of the house, and all of us were like, and they were like, you probably shouldn't send that picture to the new owners because it's just super creepy. So we go home, right? And then I go get something. Somebody had posted Buy Nothing Like Us We Go. So I go and pick up something, and then I came home and I park in front of my house. And as I'm walking around, it looks like somebody was gonna scare me. They got down behind the retaining wall and like ducked down. Like I saw their head and they ducked down. So as I'm turning the corner, I'm thinking someone's gonna jump out at me, right?
This is your retaining wall?
What's that?
Is this your retaining wall in front of your house or this house?
Yeah, okay. But it's really short, it's only like 2.5 feet. So as I turn the corner, I see somebody actually duck down behind the retaining wall. And so I go around, I'm like, and there's nobody there. And I was like, okay, that's weird. Then I'm like looking around the cars, there's nobody there. And so I go inside the house and I said, April, the weirdest thing just happened. And she's like, shut up. And I was like, what? She goes, I just saw something go down the stairs. Light went down the stairs. And I was like, and every time April's here, she says she sees stuff all the time, right? And we've had weird like doors shutting and things, but I don't really think anything of it. As much as I believe in this, I'm probably pretty skeptical, right? So I go and I get my ghost stuff and I go downstairs by myself. And I said, like, if something's here, light up the light. And it lit up. And I'm like, trying not to like panic, right?
Freak out, yeah. And you're wanting to get this on video. You have none of this on video.
Wait a minute. I do. I have another video I'll show you. So I go and get Deegan. And I said, Deegan, come downstairs with me for a minute. And he's like, okay.
Why didn't April come down with you?
No, she's next.
Okay.
So then he comes down and I say, oh my God, I have to find this video because it's so funny. I said, if there's something here, light up. And it lights up. And then you hear Deegan go, open the door.
Just go near the ball or that red light right there. And we know that you're here with us.
Turn on the light.
like get me out of here because it's pitch black, right? Then I go and get April, and we're all down there. And Michael's sound asleep. So it's me, Cora, April, and Deegan. And we're basically asking these questions to the things, and the things are lighting up only when you ask it, right? And meanwhile, we have a motion light outside the door.
Yeah.
And every night when April's sleeping, it goes off all night long. But there's nothing out there. So I set up a camera to like catch it. Ever since I set up the camera, it hadn't gone off, except the night when she's leaving. Between 1:30 and 3:12, it went off 7 times. But you can't see anything out there. Like, and you have to be pretty significant. Like a little moth won't set it off because it has to be a bigger thing. And then the machine that I set outside the door is lighting up. And she finally got up and like turned it off. Like she's like, but she had to get up that morning. She left at 4:30. But that night there were all these really crazy things happening. Like
sitting on the bed, and all I see is this like this hand width of a something go this way as soon as she asked the question, and the ball just went crazy. And I got up and I couldn't even get out of the door. And your mom blocked me and I was crawling. And then I didn't know if I wanted to cry. I don't know.
Yeah, dude. I don't know.
And my whole body is in chills right now.
When we did it over.
And my heart is racing like I'm going to have a heart attack.
Wow.
And then she brought out another little thing. I'm like, because she was skeptical of the cat toy. And the thing just lit up blue. And my whole body was in chill mode. And chills like I never had chills. And I'm like, and nobody was around that. Steve didn't walk by that. You were sitting.
Oh, is it one of these?
So did you ask if it was
the very next night? So that was all Friday night. Saturday night, we went back down to the room to do it again. And the room feels totally normal. It's not creepy like it was the night before. Because the night before, just everyone was super spooked.
Yeah.
And then the Saturday night we went, there was nothing. We're like, I guess it's not here tonight. Like, because nothing was happening.
Okay, but her brother is the one who died, who seems to give her messages. So did you ask?
We did. And it wasn't clear. It didn't say it was him.
What? Is it her spirit guide or her grandmother or grandfather? I mean,
like we would ask, like, are you related to somebody in the house? And like, it wouldn't say, like, it would only light up for yes, basically. And we took the blank as no. And if I can find this video for you, I'll also put this video on. And then I'll have like the video of April explaining what had happened to her, because as she's telling the story, you can hear in her voice that she is like freaking out.
Like,
it's like, and I'm getting chills. And she's like, got one pant leg up because she kept trying to show you like the hair on her legs is going up. And she's like, I'm like, because she's sitting there with one leg showing, one not. And I'm like, what are you doing? But she's telling the story, like how she sees this flash of light and the light goes off. And it really freaked her out.
And
but
Cora,
she knows something's down there because when they first came here,
Cora saw the door move, right? The door
opened, but we're like, okay, that could be explained. It's a heavy door. So maybe it was like a door from upstairs, enough suction or whatever in the house. Let's just give it, maybe that wasn't it. But the curtain above their bed fell. Like it's on a tension rod. It's been up there for years. Like it just happened to like finally work its way out. We don't know. It's back up there now.
See, I could get behind the tension rod falling because tension rods do that. But you were saying that door is super heavy. So how does it just fly open?
Know. See, that's funny because I would say the tension rod thing is more like valid than the door.
I mean,
I don't know because both of them happening within moments of each other. Because after that, Cora wouldn't go downstairs by herself. And then when we were ghost hunting, at one point, Steve's in there with us, and then he's like, "I'm not in here anymore." Like he didn't want to be in there.
Who's he?
Who's Steve? He's my dog.
Oh,
dog Steve.
Okay, Stevie the dog. Are we calling him Stevie or Steve? Because I think Stevie's better because it's kind of Schitt's Creek Stevie.
Oh, we just call him Steve, or we call him Stephanie or Stefan or Stephen Lewinsky. Like we call him all kinds of things, but his name is Steve. My dog. He finally left the room because he's like, I don't want to be in here anymore.
Okay, so tell me about, or I'll tell you first about the Wolf Creek thing, because you were going.
We met some cool people there who. Okay,
but you didn't record, right?
There was really nothing to record. Okay. There were like the lights would go off here and there, but then it's an old building. Like, is it that the floor creaked enough? Like No, it didn't. Oh, no. Okay. Earlier in the night, the lights would just flash off. But, you know, as you walk by, it's such an old building that maybe there's enough movement in the floor that might cause this thing to rock, which then would make the light go off, right? I'm just saying that's what it was. But that night when we were ghost hunting, April and Deegan were looking at some like little pamphlets on the side of the wall, and April's looking through the guest book, and they're actually on the other side of that wall is the store, the little gift shop. Okay. But nobody's in there. And we're down in the parlor around the corner, and all the rooms are kind of upstairs or away from us. Okay. And at one point, April and Deegan are quiet. They're just standing there, and they hear a shh, shh. And April's like, what the? And they're like, it came from this room. And then we're okay, that was kind of weird, right? So we go home that night or the next day, and we watch The Ghost Adventures because they went there. Yeah. And a lot of it was like over the top. I was like, oh, do I have something on my neck? Like they were just like, we did not experience half the stuff that they experienced. Besides, they said like demons are running through the woods in front, and there's like 5 trees in front. It wasn't like that at all. But they did say, did we just get shushed? And we were like, oh, because they heard that. And so that night, like it was like 2 a.m, we're in the parlor, and Vivian, who's only like 14, is asking all the questions. Like, are you here with us? And it would light up. And then it would be like, every time she'd ask a question, it would light up or not light up. Like it was definitely like interacting. It was weird. I can't say what it was exactly. Like as much as I want to believe it, I'm like, I don't know. Like, what if it was just weird? But I do have to say, in our downstairs, I have this EMF reader. And an EMF, you could like put it on the wall, and you can see where the electrical wiring is within the wall, right?
Yeah.
Or if I put my phone near it, it kind of lights it up and stuff.
Okay.
But it was just sitting on the floor of my room when we're asking questions, and it's lighting all the way up. Like the only way to make that happen is if the energy has changed.
Listen, if there's a spirit in this house, light up the ball. Or that. What is happening right now?
The heck? Are you videoing?
I am.
Why are you scared?
Okay, I'm going to put my phone near it. It's not my phone. Okay.
Yo, do it again or else you're a wimp.
This?
No. Double tap that blue light. Do it twice. Dose. Holy crap. Holy crap. Hey, do it 4 times in a row. 4.
Or actually just touch it more and it will light up like this. Okay? Make it significant. If there's something in here with us, make the light go off a lot. Oh my God, I'm freaking out.
Please. And so there was a couple of times when April and I were like, we're in there and it's totally lighting up. She's stressing out. Laura's stressing out. And the 2 of them are fighting because they're just like, they're so wound up. They don't even know how to like communicate nicely to each other at this point. And so it was just really stressful because you're like not sure what's happening. And how did you feel? Like, I just kind of laugh because it's so like stressful. I laugh when it's like, you know, when people get hurt, I laugh, and you know, but there was definitely, and I'm like, and it's in my own house. Like,
okay, so did you did Michael go down with you?
No. So Michael was like, the next day when we were telling him, he's like, nah, don't do that in our house. And I'm like, no, it's already in our house. Like, because Michael and I personally had experienced something in that downstairs room, you know, a couple of Christmases ago when we were wrapping presents. I believe I told you the story.
I don't think
so. And so Larry's TV also has a big sound bar. And the TV.
And this is Larry, the cousin that died.
Cousin who got murdered.
Okay, yes.
We own a lot of his, we have a lot of his things that when he passed away, we're the only family that's here His dad and his sister live somewhere else. So we got a lot of his things. And one of them is this huge TV with a sound bar. And so we're just wrapping Christmas presents, and the sound bar just starts talking. It's like it's on. And I look at Michael, and he's like, and I'm kind of looking around for the remote. Like, did I sit on the remote? Like, what's going on? And all he says is, "Oh, hi, Larry." And like it was no big deal. Of course, it's just Larry. Well, then I look across, and across the room on the arm of the sofa is the remote. And it just turns off. And then I was like, wait a minute, what did it say? Like, what was it saying? Like, was there a message?
Yeah. Was there a message in that?
And because I was just so shocked that it turned on, I wasn't listening to what it had said. And he's like, I don't know. And he just keeps folding. And I'm like, heck, like something crazy just happened, and you're acting like it didn't. Like,
right.
So that was a few years ago. So we've had some ways. Oh, and this is another thing that happened. You know, Tristan stays in that room with her. We've had a divider up while she was here. And she goes, it does this. What? Let me do it. You hear that? It's like a 1, and then it goes 2. And she hears it all night long. And she goes, it sounds like it's on the window. And she's like, I hear it all night long. It totally freaks me out. And Tristan says, I hear it too. I just don't listen to it anymore. I just go to bed. Like he hears it.
Is it a bush? Is it a bush hitting your window?
Tapping on the window.
So is there a bush?
Tapping on the window is, I don't know. We don't know what it is. But when I went outside and I was trying to mimic the sound for her.
Yeah.
She was like, you have to get you have to do the rhythm right first. Okay. So I finally got that rhythm right. I was trying to do different parts of the house. Like, does it sound like? And she's laying in bed with her eyes closed. I'm like, and she's like, no, it's definitely coming from behind me. And there's a window right behind her. That window is just a window. It doesn't open, but she's like, it's coming from right there, which is right underneath the motion sensor.
Oh,
which the light comes on. So I had my camera set up. Even this morning I had it set up, and I was like, hey, if you want to let me know that you're here while I'm gone, just touch these things. And I checked, it only will go off if there's motion, and there was nothing. So I don't know. Okay. So I do have to mention this. So at the White Eagle Saloon, which is in Southeast Portland, on Thursday, October 27th, we have about 4 more rooms. So there's 11 rooms in the whole place. It's a Thursday night, and I have reservations on 4. My neighbor has reservations on, my neighbor has reservations on 2, and Michelle and John have reservations on, I can't remember how that was. Maybe she has 1. Anyway, we have 10 rooms total, but there's somebody may have already rented that 11th room.
Gotcha.
So if anybody wants to go ghost hunting with us, including you, Melissa, we would love for you to join us. Some people have already, they're already in. Like some.
What is this called? The White Eagle?
The White Eagle Saloon, which is where I went with Paige and Carolyn. And then I called Jeanette while we were there.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So we are going to rent that entire floor. And pretty much nobody will go to sleep until after 3, because that's when it's going to go down.
This is my question. So I actually ran into John, and for the listeners, John is a friend of Leslie's, and we both know him.
Oh, John Werther. Okay.
John Werther. And John is who she's doing this ghost hunting thing with. They went to Wolf Creek, and
I think he wanted to call it Cascade. What did he call it? Oh God, Cascade. Something paranormal. I can't remember what it was. It was a fun, cute, little funny name.
So I don't remember where I.
Sorry, you ran into John.
Yeah, I ran into John. Oh, but he said that you guys, when the old people went to sleep, the girls, Vivian and Lucy, had some action, right? I'm like, why are you guys going to sleep? First of all, I don't know why ghosts only.
When the old people, first of all, I was up with them.
Oh, okay.
I was up with them. I was in there with them, and so was
you can't go to sleep if you're going to stay at the White Eagle Saloon. You have to stay up all night.
Right. Well, they had been there the night before, and they saw an apparition in their room, and so Vivian.
The Werthers did.
Yes. So Vivian saw it go into the bathroom, and Michelle saw it come out.
And this is at the White Eagle Saloon or the Wolf?
Sorry. This was at Wolf Creek Inn when we went to Wolf Creek, Oregon.
Okay.
So we only went for one night. They were there for a couple, I believe. So the night before we got there, they had saw the apparition go in and one came out. And then when I was there, we did the ghost hunting. The lights were going off, like when they were communicating. And then we did go to bed. And then sometime in the night, I'm so mad at myself now. It got so cold that I was like when your jaw shivers.
Yeah.
It was doing that as I was freezing. And instead I just curled up in a ball and got warm again when I should have looked around.
Yeah, you should have
gotten that. But I was so tired, it didn't even occur to me like, oh, there's probably a ghost in here right now. I should look. And I didn't. I just went to sleep.
And shouldn't you have like a bird's eye camera or something so you can see the whole room in video?
And it wasn't as prepared. I didn't bring the camera with me, but the one I have set up downstairs, I will definitely be setting that up when we go to this.
For some reason, the whole, like, I'm totally cool with psychics.
Block your schedule now for Thursday, October 27th.
That scares me. Like, I don't know.
You can even just come for a while and then leave.
I could come for a while. You're right.
Yeah.
Because it's the whole staying up. You know me, I'm a sleeper.
I should ask staying up all night. If she wants to come down too and just see if she feels anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or we can ask Renee.
So I actually went and saw her last week when you were gone. So I went to her talk.
I know. Yeah. She thanked you.
Yeah. And that was awesome. She did not recognize me because, we never see her.
Yeah.
For those of you, our listeners, we're on Zoom. So Leslie and I can see each other, but we don't have Suzanne on Zoom. She doesn't do that. And so she's always on the phone. She never knows who's coming. She really doesn't even know what I look like.
One of our listeners won her free reading.
She was our listener?
Yes. She texted me like, oh my God, I won. And I met her through Chase.
Oh, get out.
Their podcast, We Ain't Broke.
Yes.
She's friends with Chase. So she started listening to us and she won it because she heard about it on our show and went and won.
Oh my gosh.
Listeners won a free reading. Yes.
Oh, well, so I I know what she looks like now because I saw who won it. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Yeah, so cool. I was secretly wanting to win it, but I get to the pleasure of talking to her every 4 months. So I really didn't want to win it, but it was really nice. And she is so funny.
She's like clever. I like her.
She is. And I was like, you know what? She could have done stand-up and stuff. Like she actually has a lot of talents and good persona. She's self-deprecating. Like she was talking about how many marriages she's had and everything. And until I realized that was the film producer that was there with her, the guy, I was like, ooh, is this the boyfriend? Like, I think he likes her, and then I'm like, oh, well, it's a producer. Well, it doesn't mean that he couldn't like her. Like I was ready to hook him up if they weren't hooked up, but so cute. She was really good. And it was a good little thing. So awesome. I did feel like I was crashing somebody else's party a little bit because they all seemed to kind of know each other, but it was good to support her and, say hi and all that stuff. So
that's awesome.
No, the John Werther story is, so we live in the same town. So I'm turning the corner. I don't know where I was going. I can't remember. Driving somewhere. And I see John and he's up ahead of me and he's jogging. And I'm like, oh, it's John. I'll honk and, give him a wave. Well, right then I see him and he's going the same direction I'm going, but he's on the other side of the street. And I see him like waving at a car and then pointing at them. And I'm like, what is he doing? And I right then that car is pulling out of the park that he's going by and a bag falls off of their car. Well, he was trying to point to them, like get their attention with a wave and a point that they have something on top of their car. So this bag falls off in the middle of the road. Well, I'm the next car. So I get up, I put it in park, put my emergency brakes on or emergency lights on, and I get out to get the bag. And as he's crossing the street to get the bag, and he's like, Melissa, and I'm like, John, hey. And he's like, what are you doing here? And I was like, I don't know. I just saw you running. And then I saw you, waving down the car. So I figured I'd pick it up and go see if I can catch him. And he goes, okay, do it. So I get back in my car and I go really fast. It was so fun. It was like Dukes of Hazzard moment. I got to like, and I'm thinking, okay, if they pull me over, I'm going to be like, look, I've got someone's bag and I'm trying to get them. So I'm honking at them, and I'm honking. And finally they pulled over. And I'm sure they're scared to death. Like, what is this middle-aged woman? Middle-aged, that's me by now, by the way. Oh, sorry. That's horrible. Middle-aged woman in a white mom's SUV car, like honking crazily at us. So he pulls over and I get out immediately, like, hi, I have your bag, trying to like not scare him or whatever. He's like, aren't you just the sweetest thing? And, he was so thankful. And I poke my head into the car like this, because I'm so tall, I'm like, is
You're
this
like a
your
giraffe.
yeah, exactly. I'm like a giraffe. I'm like, is this your lipstick bag? Because it's got little lipsticks on it. It's like a cosmetic bag. And she's like, yes. And she's kind of laughing and giggling. And I'm like, well, here you go. And they're like, oh, thank you so much. But I was like, ooh, I got to go fast.
Yeah, that's funny.
And then I texted John and we're like, hey, we did our good thing for the day. Yes. I got the bag to them. And
it's weird that happened with that you knew each other.
I know. Yeah. Isn't that
crazy? It would have been even funner if you like knew the people that you pulled over. You were like, oh my God, this is so
cool. Like a full circle moment for us. Yeah.
That's
cute. We haven't even gotten to our story today.
I know. God, that was my story. That's all I have to report to you. But I do have to say, the John Arthur Ackroyd that you did?
Yes.
That one gets a lot of attention. Like through YouTube, a lot of people. Yeah. And then since then, I've watched some videos about this guy and the things that, like, I believe the girl that, remember he asked to be the girlfriend?
Yes.
Her name is Marlene. And I saw an interview with her and how nobody believed her.
Yeah.
And how like devastating that was because she was so young and how, like it
impacted her life.
Still affects her like through that whole thing. And I just thought like, we probably should like dive into that one a little bit more with the different characters that played roles in there, just because I think we told the story, but we don't really know the story about him and how terrible he was. And then I just saw another video about a guy that he's from Florida, of course, because they're crazy in Florida, but I'll tell that one another time. But I think that guy was like a true monster, and it was the Highway 20 guy, the ghost of Highway 20. Is the
I have to say about was it Marla, I think. Marlene, she was Native American, and
she doesn't look it.
No. But I mean, she has nice tan skin. Like she probably tans really well. But
I didn't believe her. They thought was like
yes.
Like how when she went to her mother-in-law's house, her mother-in-law wanted her to take a shower. Yes. Right away. And she's like, no, like I need to like, and I think back then when she was hitchhiking, sounded like everybody did that. Cause she got in the car and was like, she was like, at first I didn't notice that there was no door panel. I didn't notice there wasn't a way to open the door. I didn't notice that there wasn't a way to roll down the, she was like a window roller down.
She was drunk too, you know, she was drunk, probably not thinking about this.
And she's like, I didn't know all of this stuff. Like,
so I actually watched that interview. I think the one that you're talking about, in doing that show. And it was so impacted by the victim blaming and how often victims are made to feel like they're not believed, or they did something wrong. They had drank too much. They wore too short a skirt. They were out too late. You know, they didn't go with a friend or whatever, which she had gone with a friend.
So she doesn't want to get in trouble. So she throws out this thing. And
she did tell her husband though. She did tell her husband. I mean, it just was sad. It was sad that man could have at least been flagged a lot earlier with police, to have had a record of some sort or a warning at least that could have maybe avoided a young girl, several girls obviously being killed, but you know, a young, I think what she was 11 or 12, his stepdaughter being killed.
So crazy because he says like they took him out there on purpose to see what he was saying. He's like, you know, something about like finding her under a tree or like a log. Like he's basically telling them where she's at. They never found her. I don't think they've ever found her yet.
No, they have not.
But how, and then it sounds like her brother, what was her name? Rochelle? Or
I don't remember. I wasn't prepared to have this conversation. Yeah.
The son, the brother of the girl that went missing is still like devastated and just knows it was him. Like, and the mom's still like, I don't know, like still denial about the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's just sad. Anyway, let's go to your story. Because I think we just need to revisit that and dive into a little bit more, just because a lot of people are like, well, what about his girlfriend? Or what about, like, they comment on our YouTube page about it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I'm like, I don't even know what they're talking about. Like, so I'm like, I need to I need
Do a
to
little
go back.
research.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, this one is actually happened during COVID, and I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's extremely sad to me. And I just don't know why parents slash step parents slash girlfriend boyfriends of kids. I don't understand this. So this little boy, his name was Samuel Olson. He was 5 years old, and his parents were Sarah and Dalton Olson. And they were at the time in a bitter custody battle. The boy, and this was this year, by the way, this past 2021. The boy's mother, Sarah, said that she'd not seen her ex-husband in a year when he had basically taken his son for a visit, a custody visit, right? Mandated by the courts, and just hadn't brought him back. And so on May 21st is the first time in which she hears the little boy is missing. These two, Sarah and Dalton, had broken up in 2017. So this was like 4 years of them being split up. But Sarah had primary custody of little Samuel. And so Dalton had done his visits and paid his child support until a year prior. He just took him for a visit and never brought him back. So the court records show that Sarah Olson tried very hard to serve Dalton Olson with custody papers and was never able to find him to like serve him with the papers. And then Dalton had also moved several times trying to avoid and hide himself and Samuel. So he was clearly wanting this child, right? And this is where it just gets confusing for me, because if you're trying so hard to keep this child from its mother, why wouldn't you want to keep this child safe, right? So just to tell you a little bit about Samuel before we get in the rest of it, he was obsessed with Toy Story. He had every one of the, Buzz and Woody, things. He had pajamas, he had the sheets, he had the whole 9 yards. And people say that he was very funny and very affectionate. And while holding your hand, he would like rub your hand. And I don't know about you, but my son used to do that. And you'd just be like, oh, melted. I just melted. So Samuel was actually reported missing on May 27th. But his disappearance is estimated to be weeks before that. On April 30th, that was the last day he was ever seen at his school. And Houston investigators claim that on May 10th, the girlfriend of Dalton, her name's Teresa Balboa, and you will hear her name a lot. She is also the mother of 2 children, but they are in the custody of their father. She lived in an apartment with a different man. Okay. So she and Dalton had been in a relationship, and he actually had a restraining order out against her to not contact him or his family. Now, I'm not sure what happened. They refer to Teresa Balboa as being Dalton, Samuel's dad's girlfriend. Now, is that just a girl and a friend, or is that girlfriend were together? Very unclear. But anyways, Teresa Balboa also lived with a different man. His name is Ben Rivera. These investigators in Houston claim that he received a phone call from Balboa claiming that Samuel was not breathing and telling him to come over. So this was May 10th. When he arrived at their apartment, he saw that Samuel was unconscious and bruised, and the two decided to place his body in the bathtub for 2 days. Okay. And then on May 13th, Rivera says that he went to Walmart and he purchased duct tape and a plastic tote bin. They put the boy into the tote, and then they put him into a storage unit. Investigators say that there is a conflict with Rivera's timeline. So that he's been conflicting stories or what have you, but he claims he had nothing to do with the actual murder, but that he did definitely help, right? Help Teresa Balboa. Now, I don't know, maybe he was sleeping with Teresa Balboa. It sounds like they used to be an item. I'm not sure what kind of hoochie she has, but clearly she's holding some power here. I don't know. But anyways, investigators found a text from Balboa on May 5th. Okay, so that was May 10th that this original Rivera says, but on May 5th saying she needed to speak with him before he came home on that day. So this was way back May 5th.
Right.
He also found a text message from Balboa on May 12th. Oh, excuse you.
Sorry.
On May 12th, saying that she was going to move Samuel's body to the bed after learning that the apartment's maintenance would be entering their unit that day. Okay. Which is kind of weird because, okay, the 12th, they moved the bed from the bathtub. Now the 13th, they're moving it to the storage unit. What we do know is that surveillance video at the storage unit shows Rivera's truck with the bin supposedly containing Samuel's body arriving on May 22nd, or they assume that it arrived because they saw the truck, they saw the bin. All accounts, it seems like May 22nd, but that would be a big gap from the 13th to then the 22nd. However, Balboa initially claimed that on May 27th, that police and Samuel's mother, Sarah Olson, arrived at Balboa's home and took the boy without her permission. However, surveillance video from Sarah's home, the mother, proves that she couldn't have taken the child. The boy's father reported Samuel missing on May 27th, and that is what started the search. Now, just taking a T right here. The question I have is, let's just say that that Rivera's, claims are true, that it was May 10th when Balboa first texted him or called him saying, hey, he's unconscious, whatever. So May 12th to May 27th, was this dad not wondering where his son was, checking on him, coming to get him? Did he just farm him out to Teresa Balboa, the woman that he had a restraining order against? I'm confused about that. I'm wondering what's the deal with the husband. Now, the family of Samuel and Sarah, the mother, definitely say, did Dalton have something to do with it? Did he know about this? What was his role in this? Why was he leaving Samuel alone with her? I mean, there's a whole lot of questions that, to my knowledge, are unanswered. But on June 1st, Balboa, then again, so this is 27th, they have a massive manhunt or massive hunt for him and a search. On June 1st, Balboa called a third friend, okay? And she tells him she wants to move the bin with the body in it again. The friend helped Balboa by driving the boy's corpse to a motel about 100 miles away. But after agreeing to do so, he promptly called Crime Stoppers to report what he had been asked to do. So the police ended up raiding the motel about 3 a.m. in the morning, finding Balboa and the corpse in the plastic bin as had been reported. Balboa is being held on a $600,000 bond to face capital murder charges, which I did a little digging on capital murder charges. That means basically she can face the death penalty in Texas, tampering with evidence, and human corpse charges. Samuel would have turned 6 on May 29th. Very sad. So reports also state that Dalton allowed Balboa to watch Samuel with the ex-girlfriend, even though there was this protection order that he had placed against Balboa. And Balboa had apparently assaulted Dalton last November, so that would be 2020, and was ordered to stay away from him and his family. So I've got a lot of questions for Dalton, like, what kind of dad steals the kid from mom and then can't take care of him? So you give him to the ex-girlfriend who you already have a restraining order against. So I'm confused. Almost a month. Almost a month. I don't know. I don't know what that's going. What even possibly.
Unless he was like a Casey Anthony, like, oh, we're sorry, we're busy right now. We're like putting him off for so long. Like,
dude, eventually you couldn't keep my kid for 2 days without me, especially a 5-year-old going, no, I want my kid back. Like,
well, it kind of sounds like Casey Anthony and her mom, or even
yes,
possibly similar to like Hiram Horman. Like if the
yes,
stepmom had done something and was working with somebody.
It's a little sus for this dad to not have been like, dude, I'm getting my kid back. Where are you? Like, I don't get it.
And at that point, you would call the mom and just say, listen, I messed up. I can't
yes.
find my child.
Yeah. Or you'd call the police and go, my ex-girlfriend will not give me my son back. Like, please help me. Like, why would you sit on this for so many weeks? So they did an autopsy and positively identified Samuel and concluded that he had died from homicidal violence with blunt head trauma. Ben Rivera, which was the roommate, was also charged and arrested with tampering evidence, a human corpse, and his bond was $100,000. I was like, record scratch right there. First of all, why wasn't it conspiracy or something? Like,
right.
I don't get that. That's even $100,000. I mean, $100,000 bond. Don't you only, like with a bondsman, you only have to put up a certain amount. Yeah. It's like 10%. Like, are you flipping kidding me? Like, that just seems way too low. Dylan Walker was the second gentleman that helped. I shouldn't call him a gentleman. The second guy that helped her take the bin to the hotel. And he was also arrested and charged. I should say, he was charged with tampering with evidence and human corpse charge. He booked the hotel room or the motel room, and he also helped move the body there. But I should say that he was at least cooperating with investigators, and he did turn her into Crime Stoppers. So, okay, I can give him that. I don't know what kind of voodoo she has on men and what is going on there, but this kind of brings up like last week's podcast where you're like, okay, would you turn in your neighbor? Would you turn in your kids? Dude,
yes.
I would not do that for some chick.
Oh,
are you kidding me? And capital murder in the state of Texas is the most serious crime, one of the most serious crimes. And she can face the death penalty. But it just makes me think, would you help a friend or an ex-boyfriend or a roommate
move a body? No.
Yeah. No. What if you would have come home and Michael's like, well, Michael's your husband, but like, oh, dead body here. What are we going to do? Like, I couldn't even sleep.
Yeah, no. Well, okay. One thing I would probably do is call the police, and then I would follow along with it just so that person, like I would be in working with the police.
Yes.
So remember that story where that woman, the man was having an affair, and then he leaves his wife for the girlfriend. They get married, and he was on probation for some drug charges. And she, someone kept anonymously tipping that her husband's selling drugs. And so they kept raiding the house, raiding his car and like all this stuff, right? And then it shows that one day he goes to the gym, and she went to the gym, left her husband at home. And when she got a call at the gym saying that there's been something happened at home, she comes back and they've been told that her husband's been murdered while she was at the gym. Do you know the story?
I don't think so.
So that her husband was brutally attacked and murdered while she was at the gym. And she like is crying hysterically and like, let me see him. And they take her in to question her and everything. And it turns out he didn't die, but it turns out she was plotting his murder with an undercover cop. And so they played it all out as if he did. Okay. And they totally caught her.
And they did like the live photos of him on the ground dead, right?
There might have been, I don't know. I don't remember that part, but she truly believed that it had come through.
Yes.
But so like if you were to call me and be like, listen, there was an accident with my neighbor last night and we just need to go hide him. I'd be like, I'll be right over. I'd be like calling the police. I'm like
911. Yeah.
Like, I'm going to do this with her, but I want to let you know, like, so to get you, not that I would really want you to be caught, but if you really did murder your neighbor,
yes,
you should be.
Yes.
But I would probably go along that lines versus actually doing it like, because that's asking a lot. Like even my best friend, I don't know if I could do that for Amber.
April. No,
I'm not going down with you if you did.
No,
it. Ain't going down like that. Are you willing? If we figure out where he's at, are you willing to go down with Terry Harmon?
No. Oh my gosh.
Is Dee Dee Spicer willing to do that for a friend?
Seriously. And Dee Dee
really
Spicer
didn't do it. Like,
Dee
are
Dee
you
Spicer
really?
has had her whole life turned upside down. I mean, even now, I don't think that people know who she
But did
is.
she really not do it? Did she really not help her? Did she, Melissa?
I wouldn't even want to be associated with that. I would have been the first one in that the grand jury, like spilling my guts about everything I knew. She was not spilling her guts.
Did she do it? Did she help her? Is she going to her grave knowing something?
I think she had to have, in many ways, helped her. Now, whether she was involved in the actual crime, I do not know. But the fact that she was withholding evidence from investigators that they could not adequately investigate her, she in the process was helping her. So I believe she knows something, or she knows, or she potentially thinks she knows some things that would be detrimental to her. I think the truth needs to come out.
The case that you're just talking about, do you think when the ex crazy girlfriend and her live-in friend,
do
you think they're going to say that the husband has something to do with it? I mean, it's going to come out, right? Like,
I just can't imagine what was happening between the two of them, that husband wasn't asking to have his kid back or see his kid, or, there was no discussion of
left her with the mom, if that's the case.
Yes, thank you. Give him back to the mom. There was no allegations that this mom was anything but a loving mother. He had a grandmother. Like, definitely people to take him. It even sounds like maybe his mother was involved in seeing the boy. Like, at least give him to your mother. Like, I don't get that. And I could be wrong about that the grandmother part, but it seemed like it. I watched some videos and stuff like that. Oh, and this is the other thing. You know how those the videos come up and Terry Harmon, oh, I'm so crying, I miss him, blah, blah. There's a video of Teresa Balboa saying, he called me he didn't call me mom, he called me super mom, and he loved me and we loved each other, we had a good relationship, blah. I'm like, you are such a
why did she kill him?
Yeah, exactly. Well, because this was when they were searching for him, she was saying all this. I'm like, you're just a cold bitch.
And I don't remember Terry Harmon ever crying.
It was a fake cry, but remember, it was like she was like meek and like
trying to pretend.
Yeah,
there was nothing there. There was nothing.
Yeah.
She looked more guilty, like sick to her stomach, than she looked like she was worried.
She did look like she was acting and not very well. But here's the antithesis of the story that I just told you. I have one more story to tell you. The antithesis, which is the opposite. Did you hear about the father in China who crossed China on a motorcycle, for nearly 24 years looking for his son?
No.
He had these banners and photos of his 2-year-old boy flying behind his motorbike, that he traveled more than 300 miles to find his son. His son had been kidnapped because, of course, in China, there was the one-child rule and everybody wanted to have boys, blah, blah, blah. He was stolen from his parents' front door. He had been standing in the front door. His mom was cooking or whatever. And he was stolen when he was 2. And after 24 years, this boy was actually found. He's now 26, obviously. And the parents were actually reunited with him after a DNA match. Now, what I'm not sure is why the DNA match happened, like what happened there. He still is in China. He's actually a school teacher. And there's pictures of the son and the wife and the son and the dad. And she is quoted with, "My darling, my darling, my darling. We found you, my son, my son." And Mr. Gio, I don't know how to pronounce that. Guo. I'm horrible with foreign languages, by the way. "He's been delivered into your hands, so you need to love him well," trying to comfort her even as his own voice shook. Oh, wait, Yeah, no, that's the husband that said that. I was like, wait, that sounds like not the husband. But anyways, the saddest part though is that he's staying living with his adopted parents because that's who he knows.
Well, and
They were good to him.
like, because I've heard this where people have been kidnapped and then they find the real parents and they're like, I was totally happy where I was.
Yeah.
And so they're conflicted, right?
Yeah.
Like
but the problem is that they stole you.
They
had every intention.
They should go to jail.
Yes.
But what if he had a really great life too? Like what they did was totally wrong, but you loved them because they treated you so well. Like it doesn't mean like every time that you're kidnapped that you're tortured and murdered. Yeah. Like maybe they just really wanted a son. And now he's kind of caught between the two because they obviously put him through college and they, you know, he's a teacher now. He did all of that and he's a good person, but he can be a good person because of the people that raised you. Can he have them both?
I know. Well, I think he is going to have them both. They have arrested the woman who stole him. But I agree that I feel like I get all of that, but at the end of the day, they knew that they were stealing him.
So as a child, like you, what if you were raised by the family that you were raised with right now, and then you found out that you have another family somewhere?
What are you doing?
Awesome.
What are you doing?
Nothing. But what would you do? Like you would still love your mom, and
I would, but if my mother had stolen me, I'd be a little pissed off. Like, I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying, but I'd also be like, dude, you took my whole life and changed it.
But if you
lied to me,
it's still awesome though. Like, but you were robbed of what it could have been.
Yeah.
You'll never know what that was.
No. And how do you know that? I don't know. Like there is something about a child you've given birth to, I think, although I've never adopted a child, and don't give me bad emails about this. I just can't imagine the love that I experienced giving life to something. I can't imagine having that same love. I can't imagine it. And maybe that's it. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe this mother really did have, because she had gratitude.
I think you can still
love given a child
as much, even though you didn't carry it.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's different. Like, okay, so like if you get,
is it different? Is it the same?
No, this is where I'm going. This is the only way I can kind of like,
wrap your head around it.
Is if we were to get divorced and you bring in a step person.
Yes.
That step person didn't raise them from a child. And that step person will never love your child the way you love them.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And you would never love
the child
that way. But that was because you didn't agree to get them together. Maybe, right?
But
because they already came as a
fabulous step parents that those kids do feel like they raised them like their own and love them like their own. I mean, I don't think we can say blanketly that a step parent, I guess this is where I'm tortured in my mind because I cannot, you don't know what you don't know.
I love Steve. I didn't birth him.
That's true.
I love him so much. I will let him sleep on my bed and follow me to the bathroom.
But if you had to put your life down for him or your life down for your kids, you would do your kids first.
I would save.
Deegan might be lower on the list right now.
If I was in the water and I had to save one of them,
yes,
I would save my children.
Yes,
because Steve's a great swimmer. He can do it. I don't know.
Oh God!
I didn't birth my dog, but I sure love him so much.
And you know what? I want to say for all those people who do an amazing thing by adopting kids and step parents, and there are so many good ones out there that the list is endless. But I also want to say that I don't know because I've never experienced that. And I didn't know how much I could love my kid before I had my kid or my kids.
Well, and there's a lot of crappy parents who have birthed their children who don't treat nicely, like we saw at the beginning of the show.
Yes.
In the story I told. So
for sure. And I didn't even go into Teresa Balboa's, girls and all of that. But I'm sure there's a story there. The dad is like, dude, she's crazy. He did a, plea to the judge earlier on to get custody of the kids. And he's like, dude, worst decision I ever made getting together with her, and I'm sure she was kind of a nightmare parent. But I guess it's that thing, Leslie, where when you don't know what you don't know. And before I had children, I couldn't have imagined how much I love that thing. I could have only compare it to how much I loved my husband. And then when you have kids, you're like, oh my God, this love is so much more. And then you have people in your life that don't have kids and you think, oh my God, like you're missing out on this extraordinary love that is so overwhelming and so consuming to you. But you're right. Maybe when you're so want a kid and you can't produce it yourself, maybe that's something that I also haven't ever experienced, is that adoption love or that stepchild love or whatever.
Well, and I truly believe that some people can't have kids, and so even though they're adopted, they were meant to be that child's parents.
Yeah.
Like it just made it, the universe made it happen for those people, even though they weren't able to conceive that child. They wanted that child so bad, even more so than maybe some people who had unplanned pregnancies, who still have great children and everything like that. That I would say that some people have planned it. They didn't
have to work very hard for it.
Right.
Yeah. So back to that. Do you think that these parents that stole or bought this 2-year-old boy were meant to be his parents?
Like universe ways, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the plan all along, and they just didn't go, like they just wanted him so bad. So I guess you could say that he was so loved by both these families, like so much that the dad looked for him for all those years, and this other family like treated him so great that he still wants to be with them. Yeah. Like he's just a really lucky kid, I guess, and lucky that he was kidnapped by the right people who didn't murder him.
Yeah.
That they still treated him he never knew he was adopted or stolen.
Yeah.
They treated him like his own.
Yeah.
So he's just very loved.
So I think the one good thing that has happened in China over the years is they've stopped doing that one child mandatory thing. I think boys are definitely still the preferred sex to have, but I think that's for points of financial stability and all of that. But that kind of crap needs to stop happening.
Yeah.
Like, that's not okay.
Yeah.
So it was the two extremes today.
Yeah.
Really bad parenting. And then this parent or parents really, but the dad really spent his whole life looking for the son.
That's sad.
And eventually it paid off and he found him. It just breaks my heart.
And probably the parents that stole him knew that he was looking.
Oh yeah.
That would be that would be like heartbreaking.
Yes.
Knowing that one day your son is going to be found. And knowing that you had the secret all along.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
And is this 26-year-old guy never going to be pissed off at them?
Maybe because they always treated him really well.
I think you're giving him too much credit. Right. I don't know because I've never been in that situation. I can't imagine what that feels like.
If I found out now that my parents kidnapped me, I would be mad, and it would make sense because what I was related to those people, and the fact that you did steal me from my potential great life. Not that my life wasn't great, it was just different. But I think
you just never felt like you fit in. You've said that before.
Right. And I always thought I was always told I was adopted. And then when I was my 18th birthday, my mom sat me down. I'm like, here it is. She's going to tell me I'm my aunt's or something. Cause I was a lot more creative like my aunt was and all of this stuff. And she sat me down and told me that I was really hers. And I totally cried. Really?
Wait. You were always told you were adopted?
My sister. That I was adopted. She's 7 years older than me.
But your mother knew this?
Oh yeah, it was the joke. It was a family joke that I was always adopted, and then
that's a horrible joke.
Oh, I could go on and on about some of the things, but I was told I was always adopted, and so I was really excited. My 18th birthday, it was a big deal. She was going to sit down and tell me, And they made like a deal about it, right? She sat me down.
No.
She gave me a necklace that it was my grandmother's, and she sat me down and told me that I was really hers. I said, what? Like, you're kidding me, like, right? Like, my whole life, like, this is it. I was going to be told.
Leslie, you have never told me this, and I have to tell you, your mother has just went down like a bajillion pegs in my
I bet it was all like part of the joke, right? Like, they were like, oh,
That's
we're really
funny.
Well, I was really hoping that I was like Aunt Andy's. Like, it would
have you ever taken a DNA test to see if you and your sister are legit sisters?
I'm pretty sure we are. Like, what else would we be?
Might be sort of interesting.
Well, my parents were a little swingers.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they were before I was born. Maybe though.
Well, why would they have not been before if they
what
were
if I did have other?
Yes.
Well, I would have to be my mom's. I would just.
Well, yes. Well, actually, you don't know that you have to be your mom's unless you have pictures. How do you know your mom's?
Well, I mean, my sister would have known. She was in the hospital when my mom had me and brought me home as an infant. Like,
yeah, she was 7.
Right. So my sister would have seen me as a baby.
But have you ever really sat down now your sister's an adult and said, you saw mom pregnant?
I do have a picture of my mom in the hospital having me.
And you know it was you and not your sister? Or another child?
I don't know. I don't think we have those kind of family secrets.
Okay, well, you might ask your sister. You know, she's older now, and
hey, for Christmas, I'm going to give you this DNA test. Submit that. Let me know, because we do have somebody that we both know who did DNA tests, and her brothers don't match hers.
What?
I'll have to tell you who that is.
I know this person.
Mm-hmm.
Record scratch.
And she hasn't mentioned it to her family that she knows this yet.
Holy shit.
And she probably never will.
Wait, so she hasn't told the brothers yet?
I think the brother might know because he would have had to give her the results or something. They would have had to see it. The results of her brothers don't match her, like
half of her. Yeah. Oh. Leslie, I don't know. I think you should stay curious, stay suspicious, and stay open on this one.
I will. I'll do that.
I think.
But if anybody wants to join us at the hotel on October 27th, you need to email me at salonsleuth@yahoo.com. The rooms are roughly about $100 for the night. Don't plan on sleeping until after 3:30. I think checkouts at 10 or 11.
Oh my gosh, that's not enough time. Get late checkout.
Make minimums, so we will be eating there together that night and like hanging out until it gets dark, and then it'll be hopefully nice and creepy while we're there. But we did it around Halloween as close as we could. And on the weekends, like Friday, Saturday, you have to have a 2-day minimum.
Okay.
So that's why we're only going on that Thursday. So
okay.
We do have a couple of extra rooms, Melissa. At least for a couple hours in the night.
Okay. All right.
Bring Eric. Walk around.
Now, what is it called? White Eagle? I've never heard of it.
Eagle Saloon is in Southeast Portland. It is a McMenamins building.
I have never heard of this.
Yes. Okay. Well, we talked about it because we were talking about like they were Polish immigrants who originally opened up the place. Okay. And it wasn't like a brothel, but it was more like men would take women there, but it wasn't like, that's not the kind of place it was.
Right.
According to Jeanette, who we called that night. So I will probably give her a heads up to do that. And I may even reach out.
Hey, you're still folding papers.
Sorry, to either Renee or Suzanne to see if they want to join us, at least for part of the night, if they'd come out. That would be fun.
That would be fun. I love that. All right, Salon Sleuth fans. Well, that's enough for today. We have been on a long time.
Hour and 20 minutes.
Wow. Okay. Well, we want you to remember to stay curious, stay suspicious, and stay open, and start leaving messages that Leslie needs to do a DNA test.